What's up everyone, this is Exarian here with a little video explaining shifted AI in Pokemon Colosseum speedrun. So the idea of shifted AI is that when you're facing one of the smarter trainers, so trainer class 84 is the main one, but the boss trainers like Mirabee, Dakim, Nascar, Evice have their own AI class that's like 86, 87, 90, 91. Basically everything 84 and up, and then some of the trainers with 83 as well. Those trainers will target your Pokemon that takes the most damage from their most damaging move. So a good example of this is on the Evice fight. His Slowking has Water Pulse, Shadow Ball, Psychic, and Skill Swap. So it's just looking at those four moves, what's the most damage that it can do to each of your Pokemon. And you have an Espeon and a Feraligatr. And usually it does more to Gator with Psychic than to Espeon with Shadow Ball. And of course Water Pulse is going to be weaker on both, so that is not considered. And Skill Swap is only used when Slacking is out. So if Espeon takes more from Shadow Ball, then that is an AI shift. And we call that a shift because normally it's on Gator. If it were normally on Espeon, then the shift would be using Psychic on Gator. Now, that's a very straightforward example where they're just using a different damaging move, or it could be the same move, on a Pokemon it normally doesn't target. But a good example of how it can completely change a fight, and the reason that it's such an important concept in this game, is the Venus 1 fight. So there, the lead Delcatty has Double Edge and Thunderbolt, and then its other moves are Attract and something useless. I think it has Water Pulse. Anyway, the damage there is close as well. Usually it targets Espeon with Double Edge, but if Croc's special defense is low enough, Espeon's defense is high enough, then it'll Thunderbolt Gator. But Delcatty always uses Attract first, unless it can kill something on the field. So whichever Pokemon it does more damage to, with Double Edge on Espeon, Thunderbolt on Croc, it will use Attract on that Pokemon first. So the fight completely changes, and you have to have a different set of notes for it. Now, because Colosseum has so many different routes in terms of experience and Croc natures, and there's so many things going on, you're not always the same level. You don't always have the same number of EVs. I use this Excel sheet that you see up here, and I have that linked in the info section, as well as the trainer guide, which has the AI type of each trainer in the run, so you can look at, do they have 84 or higher. And what I do here is I put in my Espeon's defense and special defense, and then my Croc's defense and special defense. So the way I note this is this column here and this column here is just for the nature. So if the defense special defense is not hindered or boosted, I just put in 0. If it's hindered, I put in minus 32. If it's boosted, I put in 32. So plus 32. Espeon never has boosted defense or special defense because you're only running plus special attack, so that's either going to be 0 or minus 32. Croc sometimes has 1 boosted. So here I have a minus special defense, so Rash Espeon, and then I put the IV of its special defense here. It's 21, and then its defense is 13. Croc is also minus special defense nature, with an IV of 18, and defense is not hindered, and the IV is 5. So what this will do, you'll see at the bottom here I have this sheet called the final sheet, is that it's going to do a bunch of calculations in these other sheets that you don't need to worry about, don't need to mess with. And that is going to show you how much damage you take from each Pokemon in the run's most damaging move. So the first fight that Espeon and Croc do together is the Kale fight, and his Furret is the lead here. Now the Furret's a Shadow Pokemon, so all Shadow Pokemon here, I'm just assuming they have average attack, special attack, and a neutral nature. You have to be ready for it to have a much lower or much higher than that. It's just part of the run. But assuming Furret is average, then it'll do 48 to 57 to this 13 defense Espeon, and 35 to 42 to the 5 defense Croc. Now Kale has random AI, so he will target whoever he feels like. He can target Croc every turn, even though Croc takes less, and he will use moves other than Strength. In fact, a lot of the early game trainers, most of them have that type of random AI. But it's still useful to see how much damage you take here. This document I call Shifted AI Calcs, but it also just serves as a general damage calculator. Some of the most important damage calcs are in yellow, like the Gear Fight, Gator taking a Psybeam and or a Thundershock, depending on the luck you get there. But the most concerning fights when it comes to shifting your AI and then forcing you to use a completely different strat come once the good AI starts, and that is around Mount Battle and Venus. Mount Battle is pretty straightforward, so it doesn't occur much there, but like here is the Venus fight. You see I've got a bunch of important ranges here. So you see Double Edge does 58 to 69 to Espeon, and Espeon is pretty much always the same level. Its experience is pretty consistent throughout the run, so this is level 40 on Espeon, and then 56 to 66 to Gator with Thunderbolt, assuming Gator is 37. Now, if you get like crazy low experience, he can be 35. If you get like a little bit short of 15k, or like somewhere around 14.4k, is when he'll be just short of 37, so you can definitely be level 36 here, but normally you're level 37, and if you get like max experience, like 18.5k, you'll be 38. And unfortunately, I don't have everything in these other tabs at the bottom to interact with your level, so if you type in 38, 36, it's not going to do anything, but you can look up an IV chart and see like what your special defense at level 36 would be at 37 and manually adjust. But anyway, if you're 37, then Espeon will be the target with Attract and then Double Edge once the Attract is hit. And since Venus is such an important fight, I have it noted at the top here. The no means that the AI is not shifted. Yes on Scrub is referring to his Hitman top going after Croc, because Croc has a little bit lower defense. So if Croc had just a little bit worse special defense, so I'm just going to make this 5, and you'll see it changes to yes, because Thunderbolt does 59 to 70, which is one more than Double Edge. I'm pretty sure it always looks at the max roll. So it's not like the Gen 3 handhelds where it actually simulates a roll for both and then compares. That would be absolute hell to deal with. So the number below the yes here is just like a rough estimate of how far apart like Espeon's defense and Croc's special defense need to be. It can get kind of complicated when you have like a minus nature, but like if it were a neutral nature here, then the difference would be 8, so I don't have shifted AI. But if Espeon were to go up to 28, then it's yes, but at 20, let's see, how far do I need to go? 25, it's no. So like it's about 23, but it just depends. The ranges can jump sometimes. Also note that the range is the same for both pokes here. They're both 54 to 64. Now we do not know that the AI goes after one Pokemon over the other. We don't know exactly what's going on there because we haven't looked into the code, but every time that there's been a tie in one of my runs or in any other run that I've seen, they've gone after Espeon. So my theory is that it just targets the faster poke, because I've also seen AI where Evice has 1 X attack left, and then he uses it on his faster poke. I've never seen him use it on his slower poke. So you can kind of guess how the rest of this chart works. I've got some other fights here where after I plug in my IVs, it'll tell me whether I've shifted AI, and then the number here is roughly what the difference needs to be. Evice is the most important fight because that is just such a complex fight, and you have to follow notes very specifically if you want to do well there. And those notes are quite different if the Slowking goes after Espeon. Over here I have a couple of columns for Gonzap, which is not quite as important as these other 4. And then over here, I don't think you can see everything, but I've got 7 ranges to the right. They require quite a large difference to have shifted AI, but they can be relevant, so you'll see those. And that's pretty much it. You can see as I scroll down, there's a lot of important ranges. There's a lot of ranges that can be pretty close here. We have Psychic doing way more to Gator, but if we were to make Espeon's defense really low, then Shadow Ball would do more, so you'd always get Shadow Ball. So yeah, any questions, go ahead, leave them in the comments, or you can ask me on my Twitch stream or on Discord. If you are running this game, shifted AI is a very important concept to understand. Not just the damage, but the fact that they will shift all of their moves onto the Pokemon that they do the most damage to. There are other AI quirks where they will use like a stat lowering or stat boosting move turn 1, and certain moves like Earthquake and Solar Beam and Pursuit have weird calculations because they're not just single target normal damaging moves, but just understanding the basic concept is a huge step toward learning this game. And if you're just watching this game, one of the top runners streaming it, you'll hear like me talk about it all the time, and so hopefully this video makes you understand it a bit better. But yeah, I can answer any more questions if it's still confusing. Thanks for watching.